Hey kids, we have an assignment. We're getting very near to the end of the fall 2020 semester. And for those of you that haven't been paying attention, let me tell you, this year has had its challenges with the COVID, a presidential election, failing economy. The only way that it could have been worse is if me, Jeffrey Lund, had been your accountant, your doctor, and your presidential candidate. So just be happy about that. Today we're going to talk about doing some food photography. This is something that we touched on earlier in the semester, but we've gone a little ways now. We've picked up some chops, as far as our photography goes, and I think we can do a better job. And it's also one of the things that we can do inside. So that's the main reason I'm choosing to do food. The other thing is I want to show off a light that I bought, just a couple of lights actually. If there's one person in this county that doesn't need any more photographic lights, it's me, because I am just chock full of photographic lights. So I have these lights that I want to share with you. One is a desk lamp, and the other one is just a small, it has a stand on it, and the reason I like the smaller one, it is a little less expensive, but the reason I like the smaller one is you can change the color temperature from a kind of a warm color to daylight. And the reason I like the one on the stand is because it has a stand and it's tiltable. It is not dimming. So that is one thing. It's either on or off, and it doesn't have any color temperature changes. But it's a big light, and because of the stand and your ability to tip it, it's a really good portrait light. So, in fact, these are some shots that I did with that light. I have my nephew's little girls that were over for a few days. I did get them to sit for a couple of portraits using this new light that I have. So these are some shots that were really, really quick to set up. I set everything up, and then I had my wife just sit there so I could check the lighting, get my camera exposure, and that way I could just place those girls in. And because, young children, if you don't get it in the first minute, you're not going to get it. So you got to be ready. So that's the results from this great light. Now it's important to point out that any desk lamp will do a good job for these as long as you soften it. You can do that with a piece of paper towel or some other kind of diffusion material. It's just that I like these lights because they don't get warm. If you have a tungsten lamp in your desk lamp fixture, you got to be careful not to catch the diffusion material on fire. Now we're going to talk about the food photography. You're going to prepare a dish, and this could be anything from a deluxe ham sandwich to stir fry. In this case, I'm just using leftover turkey and a bunch of vegetables. And so these are the ingredients. And I don't have a big kitchen, and it's really not that pretty of a kitchen. So I use these desk lamps to do macro shots of all the ingredients. So I'm using these new desk lamps for this food photography, but I'll tell you, your flashlights will work very, very well for food photography. You just want to make sure that they're above and behind the subject so you get that incident angle, and you can use a white card to reflect some of the light back in. So you don't need to buy a light fixture for this assignment. There's parsley, celery, tomatoes, potatoes. We're going to have fresh wheat bread that I did in my bread machine, mixed spices, and there's some turkey meat, and then cornstarch. Let's talk a little bit about these individual ingredients because they all have their own challenge, okay? So first of all, let's do the parsley. As a general rule, all of the greens that you really have to get them wet, okay? They have to have droplets of water, just like you would spray something outdoors if you were photographing leaves or something. So that's the first thing. The parsley, it has to be fresh. You want to remove the stems and you want to spritz it with a bunch of water. And the same goes with the celery. Now notice on the celery, I've got a couple of pieces that are turned on their side. So when I look at, the light is up here, right? And then when the light's bouncing off and then it's coming to the camera. So I'm getting that incident angle that is so important to get shiny surfaces. And the desk lamp is big enough to where it's not too sharp and it's not too soft. It's a really good lamp for food. So I'm getting a lot of moisture. The tomatoes, they're always really moist and everything, but I did spritz them with some more water, and I turned them in a certain way. I put some parsley in there just so they're not so monochromatic. The potatoes, they're cooked in the microwave first. I smeared them with olive oil and then sprinkled them with a little water. And again, I'm just putting a little bit of parsley on them. Got a shot with some seasoning on the potatoes too. The fresh wheat bread, that's pretty self-explanatory. You'll see I have those 2 desk lamps lighting them from the side, and so I'm getting the maximum texture because I'm skipping light off the real rough edges of that bread. It was too warm to slice, so we'll just have a picture of the loaf. And then I've got a spoonful of mixed spices. And this again has a lot of side light on it to get a lot of texture. Then I'm just showing the cornstarch can, which I always add to thicken up the broth. You can only add cornstarch when the liquid is cold. You gotta have cold liquid to add cornstarch. If it's already warm and cooking on the stove, you got to put the cornstarch in a little container, a little bowl with cold water, and then mix it first so you get this white milky stuff, and then you pour it in. Otherwise it's going to clump up and it'll never unclump, and it's not good. There's a couple of other ingredients that I like to add to my soups and stews. One of them is pesto sauce. It's a nice fresh smell. And then the other one, I use canned gravy. In this case, it's just beef gravy. And that's it. So for your assignment, you're going to have those individual photographs of each of those ingredients. And I suggest you do macro because it takes up less space. It's easier to light. And then you'll have one finished food shot. Okay? No less than 7 ingredients plus the finished shot. So that's 8 shots total. Okay, make me salivate when I look at this stuff. It's, if it's something that is fresh vegetables, you got to spritz it with water. Make those water droplets on there. If it's meats, I suggest you brush it with olive oil and then you got to pick up those incident angles, Don't light from the camera angle. It's just, it'll make the meat look like a medical specimen. No one wants to eat that. So you really have to get those highlights on the meat. I'm looking forward to seeing what you got. Good luck.